Hey guys, welcome to Stack of the Shelves for the weekend of September 28th. I have a ton of books this week, and we went to the library and then I got a whole bunch of audiobooks, and I mean a whole bunch. I think there's like 18 to go through. So I'm going to just start going through them, and I'm going to take off my TechCon sticker. We had a technical convention at work today. So, I think my husband even told me to take that off when I got home, and I forgot. So, yeah, we're good. No, we're not at work anymore. So part of this is, I mentioned in my last video, I am trying to find some new manga series to read and some new graphic novel series to read. So I just went through and I kind of looked at what my library had for manga and graphic novel series, and I cross-referenced that with Goodreads and just picked up a whole bunch that seemed to have decent reviews. And a whole bunch. It's a whole bunch. And me and my son will read some of these. I usually read them first to make sure they're appropriate, and then he will also pick them up. So the first one I got is one that looked kind of cute and kind of up my alley. And this is A Certain Scientific Accelerator, Volume 1 by Kazuma Kamachi, art by Arata Yamaji. And I probably said that wrong, but this just looked kind of neat. It's about some psychic in an academy, and that's all I know. I just thought it looked kind of cool. So that was the first one I picked up at the library. The next one I picked up is one that is more shoujo, and it just had really good reviews again at the library, and that is Kamasami Kiss by Julieta Suzuki. So this looks like maybe more of a romance thing. This one, I like the artwork a lot on the thing. It's also supposed to be pretty good. And this is Noragami Stray God by Adachi Toka. I probably said that wrong. But this looks more like a shoujin type of thing. And yeah, I've heard really good things about this series, so it'll be interesting to try. And this one I picked up because it's actually the full series in one omnibus. And this is Clover by Clamp. This is more of, I believe, a sci-fi type thing. It's like a retro tech world. Some of the illustration really grabbed my attention, and I like that it's the whole manga series in one big book. Okay, the next one was Maximum Ride by James Patterson. I actually read the first full-length book in this series, and I didn't really like the first full-length novel, but I have heard good things about the manga series, and my son has actually already read this at school, and he really liked it, so this is Maximum Ride by James Patterson and Nare Lee. This is an alternate world where angels are real and help save people or something. And I know that's people who love the series are probably that's the worst description ever, but whatever. This is another shoujo series. This is Kiss of the Rose Princess. Story and art by Aya Shoyu-Odo. Again, this is more like a fantasy romance series. And all I know I didn't even look this one up. I just thought the cover looked cool, and I have the whole series at my library, so I picked up the first one. And again, you may be thinking, why is she so indiscriminatory about what she's picking up? Honestly, these take me 20 minutes to read, so it's not a big time commitment, and it's from the library, so it's not like I'm spending money on it. All right, the next one that I'm really excited to read is Full Metal Alchemist by Hiromu Arakawa. I've heard wonderful things about this series from a number of people. My son already grabbed it and read it and said it was hilarious, and he really, really loves it, and he wants to keep reading it. So this is one I will probably read sooner than later. Next one I got, and I've already read this one, is Space Boy Volume 1 by Stephen Mccray. I really like this, and I think my son is really going to like it too. It's very cool. It's this girl, she's on a deep space mining colony, and she ends up getting sent back to Earth because of some things that happen, but it takes her 30 years to get back to Earth. And when she gets to Earth, things are very different than you would expect. So it's kind of interesting, and it involves, the reason it's called Space Boy, it involves a boy, and they just start getting into that in the series, a boy who grew up by himself on a space station as well, and you kind of see that at the beginning of the book, but you don't, she doesn't realize that yet. She's just trying to fit in with her Earth friends. So I really like this. The artwork is very colorful and easy to follow, and I thought it was very good. Next one I got is a newer one. This is Stargazing by Jen Wing, and I believe this just came out last week. And this was really, really good. I really liked her Princess and the Dressmaker and picked this up because I thought, well, it's got to be good too. And it was a lot different from Princess and the Dressmaker, but it was very good. A lot about kind of friendship, being yourself, you know, a little bit of like magical realism elements. I really liked it. I think it's a little bit more aimed at girls than boys. My son has not read it yet, but he said he's going to. He's gotten kind of addicted to Attack on Titan right now, and there's a lot of those books, and so he was trying to finish those up, and then he's going to read some of these other ones. So, and then the last graphic novel I have, number 10, is the third Castle in the Stars graphic novel, The Knights of Mars, and this is by Alex Alice. I really think that these are very unique. I do remember thinking that the second one was a little bit boring. I know when I brought this home, my son was like, I'm not reading that. I thought the second one was boring. So I might go ahead and read it just because I think the artwork is interesting and I think the story is very unique. But I don't know if my son's going to read it, so kids might not like it quite as much as adults maybe. All right, so those were the 10 manga and graphic novels that I got. Now, I got a whole bunch of audiobooks, and I'm going to try to explain why. Part of it was Audible Originals came out. Part of it is at my job right now, I have like stretches of time where I'm doing like lab work or testing, and that is much greater than I had in my old job. So I like to listen to audiobooks while I'm doing that stuff because a lot of times it doesn't require like a lot of active reading or anything like that. It's more a physical work. And I have a platinum membership to Audible, which is 24 audiobook credits a month. And my membership renews in January, and I am out of credits right now. So as a result of that, I've been trying to really take advantage of like the Audible Originals because you get 2 free of those a month. And I also started looking at Audible Escapes, which is if you have a membership, certain levels of membership. So if you have platinum membership, you get, for $6, you get unlimited audiobooks from the Audible Escapes selection. Now, the only downside to this is Audible Escapes selection tends to be romance. It's like targeted at romance readers. But the good part of this is a lot of different, they include quite a few genres. And so there's a lot of crossover. So I don't mind some romance in my books. I don't really like them to be blatantly just romance, but there are a lot of crossover novels. So there's like fantasy romance and urban fantasy romance and paranormal and gothic and science fiction and all that stuff. So I decided to go ahead and look through the Audible Escapes and pick out some new series to try and some series I have been wanting to read. My only complaint is I feel like the Audible Escapes on their website is really hard to browse. They break it down by topic. So like you can browse gothic or you can browse fantasy or you can browse, but you can't really just like page through them all really quickly. So I was a little bit frustrated with that. The other thing I didn't like is occasionally like I was browsing fantasy and there'd be like a steampunk book in there. I'm like, oh my God, that looks so cool, you know? And so then I'd click on it and it'd be like, oh, you have to pay a credit for this one. So occasionally they put books in the list of Audible Escapes that are not available through Audible Escapes, and they tend to be stuff that's a little bit less romantic looking, so it like attracted my attention. And that was a little like, I don't know, I felt like that was a little sneaky. Anyways, so the majority of these are ones from Audible Escapes, and with Audible Escapes, you can add up to 10 audiobooks to your library at a time, and once you return any of those, you can get other ones, and it's kind of an unlimited rotating selection that you can draw from for $6 a month. So I'm trying it out just to see how I like it, because I'm out of credits and I don't want to renew my membership early. So the first one I got for that is The Collector Society by Heather Lyons. And this one sounded really interesting to me. It's about Alice from Alice in Wonderland has returned back to London after being in Wonderland. And it's kind of about her adventures after she comes back to London from being in Wonderland. So I thought that was an interesting premise. I'm sure there's some romance in here, but it's been getting really good reviews, and I thought it would be an interesting one to listen to. The other one I got through Audible Escapes is Dark Diary by P. Anastasia. And this one is like a gothic paranormal romance, it sounds like. It's about a young woman in her 20s who somehow meets a man who's like 400 years old or whatever. And I don't know. It didn't sound like a typical like vampire romance. It sounds like very literary and very unique. So I thought it would be an interesting read. And again, it's one that got really high reviews on Goodreads. So I'm hoping that I will enjoy it. So some of these are one-offs. The Dark Diary is not part of a series. The Collector's Society is the first book in a series. This one is also not part of a series. And it's called The Headmaster by Tiffany Rice. I don't really know much about this one. I know I was looking for like some single books and some part of series, and this is a single book, and it sounded really interesting. It had really solid reviews, so I went ahead and got that. Now, this one is a series I've been wanting to read for quite a while, and I actually just finished listening to the audiobook, and that's Steam and Sorcery, the first book in the Gaslight Chronicles by Cindy Spencer Pape. This one I liked. I mean, this one, it's an interesting blend. It's got like Arthurian mythology elements. It's got like some vampires and steampunk stuff and sorcerers and wizards, and it's all set in like a Victorian London period. There is romance in here as well. I really liked it. I thought it was very cute and sweet, and I'll probably continue out the series. I know people's main complaint with the series has been like, this is a full-length book, but the next couple are more like novella length. Now, being that I'm getting these through Audible Escapes, and like if it's a 2 or 3 hour book, I can just listen to it and then listen to the next one without really being penalized for getting through like 6 or 8 books in a month, because it's all included in that $6 membership. I'm fine with these being shorter this way. I think I'd be a little bit bitter if I was spending like Audible credits on a 2 or 3 hour book for the next few, but it does look like some of the later books in the series, like the 4th or 5th book in the series, are back to full-length books. So anyways, I liked it. I thought it was very solid, very well written, nice witty dialogue, like some fun, some adventure, humor, all that kind of stuff. So I enjoyed it. That's a mini review for that one. The next one is an Audible original. So this is one of the 2 free Audible original books that members can get a month. And this one is shorter. This is a novella. It's like a 2 or 3 hour audiobook. And it's called The Sisters by Dervla McTiernan. I just started listening to this. I've listened to like maybe the first 20 minutes of the book. The narrator is very good. It's done with a lady with an Irish accent, which I liked quite a bit. It is a prequel to a different one of these authors' series, but people are saying it stands alone really well, and it's more of like a murder mystery investigative type of novel. So a little bit different from what I normally read, but people are liking it, and I thought, well, I honestly wasn't real impressed with the Audible original selection this month, so I went ahead and picked this one up. The next one I got is also, it's like the second Audible original book I picked for this month, and that is the Mistwick School of Musicraft by Jessica Cory. People are saying this is a very cute, like middle grade fantasy type of novel, and it is a full-length book. It is an 8-hour audiobook, so I went ahead and picked it up. It sounds like it could be up my alley. I don't know. I like some middle grade stuff and some I don't, so we'll see how it goes. All right, so the last 2 audiobooks I did use credits and purchased. And the second one of those is The Mapmaker's Apprentice. This is the second book in the Glass and Steel series. Again, this is like a Victorian steampunk, like paranormal type of series by C.J. Archer. I liked The Watchmaker's Daughter, which was the first one. I did finish this one already. I was a little bit disappointed in it. I felt like this book was like half a book. It didn't really make a lot of progress. I really like the covers, though. The whole covers in these series are very like, they show the series well, and they all really go together nicely. But I was disappointed. There wasn't a lot of character development. The main problem they were having in the first book, they're still having at the end of this book. I felt it was just like kind of bland. I think I'm probably going to give it 3 out of 5 stars because it's not written poorly. It's just kind of like nothing really happened. I don't know. Honestly, I like the Steam and Sorcery series. The Gaslight Chronicles are very similar to the Glass and Steel series. And I thought the Gaslight Chronicles was way more interesting than this series. So I don't know if I'm going to keep reading this, especially for a credit apiece. And I feel like even though this was a 10-hour book, I felt like it was like half a story. I was a little disappointed. All right. And the last audiobook I got was another one I purchased with a credit. And that is The Library at Mount Char by Scott Hawkins. I've heard mixed things about this book. It sounds like something I will like. It's about a special library that holds like the fate of the universe, and it involves gods and all this other stuff. And strangely, as I was reading the synopsis before I came to do this video, I thought, I just finished The Library of the Unwritten, and this sounds a little bit like that. So we'll have to see if this one is similar to that book or if it's completely different, but the topic and like the theme seems very similar to The Library of the Unwritten, which I just reviewed, and it comes out in like October. So anyways, that's what I got. I got 8 audiobooks and 10 graphic novels from the library. So quite a bit of stuff. Yeah, I don't know what to say. We've been having very hot weather in Minnesota. We were able to take a nice weekend up and go up north and do some hiking last weekend, which was great. The only bad thing about, like, when we drove up there, it was so foggy you can barely see to drive. And then the next day it kind of rained all day. And then finally, the third day we were up there, it was somewhat sunny, but still very humid. So we've had a whole bunch of bad storms go through, and now it seems like things are cooling down. Unfortunately, I'm going out of town for a conference next week, and it looks like where I'm going, it's going to be in the 90s. So finally it cools down here, and then I have to go be somewhere really hot again, and I'm not a fan of the heat. Yeah, other than that, my family's doing well. We're getting to hockey. My son has tryout skates starting tomorrow, and so he's going to do that and be like, figuring out where he's going to get a place for hockey, where he's still doing school. He's doing good in school. Everything's going fine there. Work is going fine. It's been busy. But that's about all I got to say about that. So I know this is a longer post, but there were a lot of books I went through rather rapidly. So hope everybody followed that. I hope you guys have a great week and that you got a lot of great books to read. And I will talk to you either next week or the week after. We'll have to see how my time goes. Again, I'm going to be out of town next week for work, so I'm not sure if I'm going to have time to do anything. So, all right, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great week. Bye.